What happens when discipline meets freedom in the classroom? Japan and Finland take education to opposite extremes, and both succeed. But how? In our time together, you'll discover how two of the world's top performing countries raise top students using radically different approaches, structured routine versus creative autonomy. When it comes to global education rankings, two countries consistently rise to the top: Japan and Finland. On the surface, they both succeed, with students scoring among the highest in international assessments like PISA, the Program for International Student Assessment. But the way they get there couldn't be more different. Japan, a system rooted in hierarchy, discipline, and rigorous exams. Education is structured, formal, and deeply shaped by cultural values of respect and perseverance. Finland, a system built on trust, autonomy, and almost no standardized testing until the very end of a student's journey. Classrooms feel more relaxed, with shorter days and more freedom for teachers and students. One country emphasizes structure, the other, freedom, and yet both are among the best in the world. So what exactly makes each of them work, and what can we learn? Let's jump in with the Japanese model first. To understand Japan's approach to education, you have to understand its culture. At its core, collectivism, respect for authority, and social harmony. From the earliest grades, Japanese children are taught not just to excel individually, but to function as part of a group. The classroom isn't just about academics. It's about becoming a better citizen. In fact, Japanese schools dedicate time to something rarely found in Western systems: moral education. It's a formal subject, taught weekly, focused not on grades, but on character. These aren't just fluffy feel-good lessons. Students explore real-world topics like honesty, justice, empathy, diligence, and responsibility. They're taught how to respect others, resolve conflict, and work cooperatively in a group. One lesson might teach the value of keeping promises. Another might ask students to reflect on their actions and, if necessary, practice how to apologize sincerely. It's not about memorizing right and wrong. It's about living it out every day, in the classroom and beyond. The goal? To shape students who aren't just smart, but socially aware, emotionally mature, and deeply connected to the well-being of others. A way to connect theory and practice, the Japanese people do something that is unheard of in the Western world. You won't find janitors in most elementary schools. Instead, students clean their own classrooms, bathrooms, and hallways. This daily routine isn't just about chores. It's a form of discipline and responsibility. It reinforces the idea that everyone contributes to the community. What about the structure of a typical school day in Japan? Well, one word comes to mind: long. Most schools start around 8 a.m. and finish by 3:30 or 4 p.m. But for many students, that's just the beginning. After classes end, students usually stay for bukatsu, which are after-school clubs. These aren't casual hobbies. Whether it's baseball, calligraphy, or brass band, these clubs demand commitment, discipline, and hours of daily practice. And after that, many head straight to juku, or private cram schools. These evening classes focus on entrance exam prep, especially for middle and high school students trying to get into elite institutions. It's not uncommon for a student to finish their final class of the day at 9 or 10 p.m., then go home to study even more. Why so much pressure? Because entrance exams, particularly for high school and university, are seen as life-defining. And with so much riding on a single test, students and parents often feel like there's no choice but to keep going. With that said, this focus on testing has its costs. Many students experience high levels of stress and anxiety. Burnout is common, and some experts worry it's impacting emotional well-being for both students and parents alike. Still, to many in Japan, discipline isn't oppression, it's harmony. Structure isn't stifling, it's how you show respect. The goal isn't just academic success, it's social order. And despite the pressure, the system continues to produce top performers in global rankings. So if Japan's education system is built on discipline and endurance, Finland's is built on trust and balance. Rooted in cultural values of equality, well-being, and child-centered learning, Finland has reimagined what school can look like. And the results speak for themselves. For starters, the school day is shorter. Most students are done by 1 or 2 p.m., especially in the early years. On homework, it's minimal, sometimes even non-existent in elementary school. Instead of drills and constant testing, students spend time outdoors every day, even in winter. Movement, fresh air, and creativity are all part of the curriculum. In fact, 15-minute breaks are required between every class. In Finland, students don't face standardized testing until they're around 16 years old, and even then, it's a single exam used for university admissions, not national rankings. Until that point, there are no nationwide exams, no rankings, no external pressure to compete. So how do they track progress? Teachers rely on diagnostic and formative assessments. Informal methods like open discussions, creative assignments, class projects, and one-on-one feedback. These tools are designed not to judge or rank students, but to help them understand how they're doing, where they're growing, and what they need next. There's no culture of teaching to the test because there is no test. Instead, there's a culture of learning for the sake of growth. The focus shifts from "what's your score" to "how are you developing as a thinker, a problem solver, a person?" And it works. Finnish students consistently perform near the top in global literacy, math, and science, without ever being reduced to a number. Why does this work? Because Finland trusts its teachers. Every teacher must earn a master's degree, and they're given full autonomy to design their own lessons. No national script, no weekly testing quotas. That trust extends to students, too. Every child, regardless of background, gets free school meals, free transportation, free textbooks, and full access to support services. The goal isn't to compete, it's to include. Finland sees education not just as a personal achievement, but as a public good. And teaching, it's not a fallback career, it's an honor. Only about 10% of applicants get accepted into teacher training programs, making it one of the most selective professions in the country. Once inside the classroom, teachers are treated as trusted professionals, not just implementers of policy, but shapers of the future. The result? A system where students are not only academically successful, but also happier, healthier, and more motivated to learn. So, while Japan builds excellence through rigor, Finland builds it through freedom, support, and trust. Two very different philosophies, both leading to world-class results. So now that we've explored both systems, let's put Japan and Finland side by side. Two countries, both ranking among the top in global education, but getting there in completely different ways. First, discipline style. In Japan, discipline comes from the outside. Uniforms, group rituals, a deeply ingrained respect for rules and routines. It's about learning to fit into the system. In Finland, it's the opposite. Students are trusted to manage themselves, to grow from within. It's about self-regulation, not external control. What about testing? Japan's system is filled with frequent high-stakes exams. These tests determine which schools students can attend, and often their future career path. Finland, on the other hand, has minimal testing. There's only one standardized test, the matriculation exam, at age 16. Everything before that is diagnostic, meant to help, not rank. Teachers are essential in both Japan and Finland, but how they teach and how they're viewed couldn't be more different. In Japan, teachers are seen as authority figures. They lead with structure, discipline, and direction. It's a respected position, but one that often emphasizes order and academic rigor. In Finland, teachers act more like mentors or facilitators. They guide rather than command, allowing students to explore and develop at their own pace. What about school culture? Japanese schools foster a competitive environment. From elementary age, students feel the pressure to outperform, to win, to succeed, to rise. Finnish schools promote a collaborative culture. Students work in small groups. The goal isn't to be the best, it's to grow together. And finally, burnout. Japan's intense pace and testing culture can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even student disengagement. Exam hell, or shakinjigoku, is a real phenomenon. Finland, with its shorter school days, fewer exams, and emphasis on well-being, reports much lower levels of burnout. Students score high in life satisfaction, and teachers experience some of the highest job satisfaction rates in the world. So who wins? That depends on what you value most: discipline or autonomy, competition or collaboration, performance or well-being. But here's the real lesson. Success doesn't come from doing more or doing less. It comes from being intentional about what matters most. And both countries, in their own way, show us what's possible when a nation commits to educating its children well. So what can we learn from Japan and Finland? It's not really about choosing between freedom or discipline. It's about how each is applied. Japan shows us the power of structure, shared responsibility, and collective effort. Finland shows us what's possible when we trust students and give them space to grow. But their success raises deeper questions for the rest of us. Do we trust students enough to let them lead their own learning? Is academic pressure really helping them thrive, or quietly wearing them down? What would happen if we combined the best of both worlds? Imagine a system with Finland's trust and well-being, and Japan's dedication and discipline. A classroom where freedom doesn't mean chaos, and discipline doesn't mean burnout. That's the future of education we could build, if we're willing to rethink how we define success. Which system would you choose for your child? Japan's discipline or Finland's freedom? Let us know in the comments. If this opened your eyes to a new way of learning, subscribe for more stories and comparisons from classrooms across the globe.